They've done it, people. Uzbekistan are going to their first ever World Cup. Round of applause to every Uzbek out there. The greatest day, June 5th, 2025. Uzbekistan are going to play in a world. Let's think about this, people. What a moment this is. Like, to see a debutant, and I know people want to say the expanded World Cup and all this nonsense, 48 teams, and I'll get to that sort of scenario whether Uzbekistan would have qualified even if it was a 32-team World Cup. Who cares? These are the moments we cherish as football fans. These are the moments that Uzbeks will never forget. I remember when my nation, Finland, qualified to the Euros. That was one of the greatest days of my life. I got super drunk. I couldn't even remember the night. I was so hungover the next day. But then I realized we're actually going to go play at a major tournament. And now Uzbekistan, they're going to realize tomorrow. They're going to realize in a couple months, they're like, oh my God, we're going to be in that draw. We're going to maybe be playing against Brazil, Argentina, France, England. And then all of the media around the world, like ESPN FC and Sky Sports, can be like, what is Uzbekistan doing the World Cup? Okay, they'll find out. They will find out, people. But I'll try and pronounce this word as best as I can. So shout out to all my Uzbeks out there. Tabrik Klyam Yaman. Tabrik Yaman. Congrats. If you guys wanted to know the translation, congrats. They have suffered so much heartbreak, people. If you don't understand the history of Uzbekistan football, which have been playing as a FIFA nation since 1994 when they were adopted into FIFA and the AFC in 1994, they've suffered so much heartbreak. 2006 World Cup. 2014 is probably one of the darkest days in Uzbek football history, where they narrowly missed on an automatic spot against Iran. South Korea. All South Korea had to do was just to avoid a defeat against Iran, and Uzbekistan would have qualified to the World Cup. Didn't happen. Iran beat South Korea, and Uzbekistan had to go to the playoff, and they lost on penalties to Jordan in the AFC playoff 9-8. They didn't even make it to the Intercontinental playoff. They probably would have lost to Uruguay anyways. 2018, again, they narrowly miss on the playoff spot, and they lose to Syria. Syria get that playoff spot, and since then, they've kind of been close. 2022 World Cup was a bit of a disaster. And then you look at the Asian Cups, like the most recent edition of the Asian Cup. They lose on penalties to Qatar. They were so depleted, people. Like, if you don't follow Asian football, Uzbekistan were depleted in that game. And yet they made it to penalties. That's their kryptonite. The only thing that Uzbeks hope for is they don't go into a penalty shootout at the World Cup because they're going to lose. That's just their kryptonite right there. But now, it's cruise control. When they're going to play against Qatar in Tashkent next week, it's going to be party. It's going to be celebration. And all of the Uzbeks who had jeopardy, who were so critical of this national team, including myself during these qualifiers, the nation have finally done it. And if you think this is some fluke or, oh my God, they got lucky, look at what they've been doing youth level-wise, people. Their U17 team in the 2023 World Cup for the U17, they beat England in the round of 16. They narrowly lost to France 1-0. This is no fluke. This nation love football. This nation clearly have a good academy and good schooling, because now you see a lot of their ballers, they're playing in Europe. They're playing at the highest level possible. So this is no fluke. Their U20s consistently qualify to the World Cup. They do it well. But now the men's team, they finally, after all the heartbreaks and all the suffering, they finally qualified to the World Cup. It's a beautiful nation. It's a beautiful story. And I think every Uzbek now, they're just going to party for the next year until the World Cup begins, because now they got a year to celebrate. So how did they do this? How did Uzbekistan do this? Well, they got a lot of good players. When you think of Uzbekistan, the immediate thought is Eldor Smordov, who plays at AS Roma. I mean, he is just the captain. He is everything for this national team. The striker, even though I think during these qualifiers, he hasn't been at that level he should be. But he is everything for this national team, because he holds up the play, good link-up play, getting the ball out to Masharipov or Faisulayev or Urunov. Like, Smordov is such a key player for them that he still needs to be playing at a high level heading into this World Cup. And I'm happy for him, because he's kind of like that, I would say, breakthrough star for Uzbek football, going to Genoa, doing well there, AS Roma doing there. And Smordov is just a wonderful story as well. Now, of course, you look at the young ballers they got, like Husanov, playing at Manchester City. He is like the darling of Uzbek football. He's playing at one of the best clubs in the world, under one of the greatest managers of all time. To see Husanov from Uzbekistan, who was playing in Belarus like only 2 seasons ago, it's a remarkable story. And that just shows you how well Uzbek football has developed over the last couple of years. But they all got a lot of good players, people. Like Masharipov, who's frustrating, but he's got technical quality. He can get you a goal out of nothing. And I really like Masharipov, but my favorite player on this national team is by far Faisulayev. I think Faisulayev, he plays at CSKA Moscow. I don't get to see him play at CSKA Moscow. When I see him play for the national team, I just see a kid who can become a star. Maybe he just needs that move away from CSKA Moscow and go into another club, but I think the world will find out about Faisulayev next year. I think he is that sort of player. Obviously, you've got Uronov, you have Yusupov, who is a quality goalkeeper. Like, Uzbekistan have so many good players in different positions, and now they all galvanized, and they've had a really heartbreaking story as well, because their manager, who from 2021 to earlier this year, Katanic, he did a pretty decent job. I think he did receive a lot of criticism for his style of play, a little bit sluggish, a little bit too slow. And Uzbekistan, they got the quality, but they just were not playing at that top level. And unfortunately for Katanic, he had to resign from the job due to health reasons. And now Kabatse, who led the Olympic team last year in Paris, I don't think he's really changed a lot. And I think the one thing you could say about this national team is they could play better. They have not shown their full capabilities, their full arsenal so far in these qualifiers. Now they got a year to I think there was just so much pressure on them qualifying to this World Cup that now that it's over, there's so much weight off their shoulder. Now they can relax, and hopefully now they can play some Fuji ball that we know Uzbeks can do it. They got the quality, they got the technical skill, they got the tenacity, they got everything. I just really like Uzbek football a lot because they're all technically gifted, but they have not been playing like that so far in these qualifiers. I think that can change now because of all the pressure, probably from the media to the fans, including myself and other YouTubers who talk about AFC football. We know this team is good, and we knew they could qualify. And now they did it. Maybe they're going to now calma, relax. We can now enjoy this moment right here, the biggest moment in the nation's football history. I mean, they're a pretty decent futsal team, but now they do it on the grandest stage possible. Like, everybody, when the World Cup appears next year, they're going to be like, wow, Uzbekistan. What's the capital? Well, I'll tell you, it's Tashkent. Then you're going to look at the architecture. That's why I need to visit Uzbekistan. One, to get a kit, because I can't get the kit anywhere online. And two, go look at the architecture. And three, hey, the food is looking good. The food looks nice. I really I'm happy about this story. It's just such a heartwarming moment to see a new nation qualify to the World Cup. I think it's the 81st or 82nd nation to ever qualify to the World Cup, and they deserve it. They've been so close on so many occasions, and they're not like a bottom 10 team in Asia, or if you put top 10 to top 20, they're not there. Uzbekistan have always been a competitive team in Asian football. It's just always been that little moment where they bottle it. You could say I would say the Spurs, but they're not the Spurs anymore. You could say they're the Dortmund, where they get to that pressure moment and then they collapse. But now they didn't collapse. I didn't get to watch the game today against the UAE, so I can't tell you how that game went. It finished 0-0. I don't think Uzbeks care. They could have lost. They could have drawn that game 3-3, 2-2, 1-1, or won the game 1-0 with the stinkiest goal ever, kind of like the Australia-Japan game earlier today. It wouldn't matter. The most important thing was to qualify to the World Cup. They finally did it, and now the world will find out about Uzbek football, and that's just the most beautiful thing about it. Because now they got a year to prepare. If you gave a prediction right now of how far they can go, I mean, it would depend on the group, but I would still find it very difficult for them to get out of the group stage of the World Cup, even though it is expanded. I don't think it matters, though. I think now that they got this taste of qualification, and with all of the young ballers they got, they're consistently doing well in the youth teams. That's why I never understood, why can't they translate it to the men's team? Maybe just the men's team felt too much pressure. Now that they qualified, I think now Uzbekistan are going to become a force in AFC football. I think over time, if you want to be honest, I think they can overtake South Korea. I don't think nobody can touch Japan. I think they can overtake South Korea or even Iran when this Iranian generation, they retire from the national team. I think Uzbekistan can take over. But it's going to take time. It's baby steps. Now that you qualified, next step. And Beautiful. Would they have qualified if it was 32 teams? I think so. I think Uzbekistan right now are a top 5 team in AFC, and they're only getting better. And you look at the other teams in AFC, like Saudi Arabia. No, Uzbekistan are better than them. Even Australia. I think right now Uzbekistan are better than them. Qatar, you name it. The Uzbeks are still better than those national teams. And now that they qualified, I can only just say congrats to every Uzbek out there. Enjoy the night. Lit some fireworks. Drink some tea or something, but enjoy it. Because this is the most historic day ever in Uzbekistan football history. June 5th, 2025, they qualified to their first ever World Cup. And of course, here on the channel, we'll be talking a lot about the Uzbek national team heading into the World Cup. So if you like that sort of content, remember to subscribe, hit the like button, and give your thoughts in the comments down below of this historic moment for this nation. Remember to follow me on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, join the Discord. Have a beautiful day. Stay safe in this crazy world. Till next time, adios.